without further ado, welcome to the Optimism Governance Walkthrough. So today, the goal of this is just really to walk through our governance process so you guys can have a full overview and like really understand what's happening and why, and kind of how to get your proposal from an idea to funded. So, T's and C's apply. This process is alive and living and evolving as we speak. So this is probably going to go out of date really fast. So if you want to get the most up-to-date version, please go check our docs. This is on our main docs site right now. So you can go check it at any time and get the most live up-to-date version. So definitely check that out because this will get out of date. Because again, it is alive and evolving all the time. So we're going to skip over these sections because poor Bobby is muted, has been silenced. But that's okay because we can just jump into the actual process itself. So how do you go from having a great idea to getting it funded optimistically? Nice. So the first step is obviously to write your idea down because, having a thought's great, but you can't easily share that if you don't write it down. So once you've written down a lovely idea proposal that is just super inspirational, big idea, big picture thinking, all that amazing stuff, ideally you've already got something in the works on a network somewhere live, or at least on testnet, but that's fine. Once you've got your idea, then you go into the Discord channel. We have a lovely governance temp check channel where you share your draft. Once you've shared your draft, the community will give you feedback, generally just telling you if this is a great idea or maybe not so hot or maybe it's already been done. You'll never know unless you post. And then once you've incorporated this feedback and you've seen that the community is generally, behind your idea and that it's a good idea and that people will support it if it goes up for vote, then you can post it as a draft on the form. Definitely make sure you're following the template guides because we've put a lot of effort into that form so that it's neat and it doesn't get spammed. So please make sure that your proposal is correctly formatted because that would be tragic if it was not. Then once you've kind of incorporated the feedback that you get on the form, which will be a lot more formal feedback, it'll be from the actual delegates who have the kind of voting power that you'll need to get in to the governance. Then a delegate who is recognized, which just means that they have more than 0.5% of the delegated OP, will give you a little thumbs up. And then once you've got a little thumbs up, you can submit your proposal to the next voting cycle. Voting cycles happen roughly every 2 weeks, but this also depends on what type of proposal you are doing. And then it's in a voting cycle. Once it's in a voting cycle, it will get posted on Snapshot. You don't need to do anything for it to get posted on Snapshot. Once it's being added to the next voting cycle on the governance form, it will automatically get added to the Snapshot in the next voting cycle. So you don't have to do anything. Then the voting period starts. So during this period, the delegates will discuss and vote on your proposal. At the end of the voting cycle, the proposal will either get booted, as in it did not pass and nothing will happen, or it'll get passed and then the foundation will execute, which means send you the money. We will, of course, be doing a test transaction for that. Okay, before I dive into each of these steps individually, Bobby, do you want to try again, or are we still muted? RIP Bobby. Okay, into the cycle. So, Gov Temp Check. Please keep this channel clean. You want to post your actual document, the form, and then we'll make a thread for it. And then in that thread, we can discuss all your feedback. Some notes on this. Do not post anything other than a Google Doc link, a Markdown document, a text document, or a PDF. If you post any other kind of document, I'm going to have to delete it because there are many security vulnerabilities in documents that are not one of those basic types. Even PDFs a bit touch and go. So please respect that because we're not trying to get every delegate's computer hacked. So we will remove your forms, posts if they are not the right format. Ideally, please post here first before you post onto the governance form. This is really important because first of all, you might post it and then realize that actually there's already a governance form for this, which we've seen happen quite a bit already. So please post here first so that we can make sure that A, your proposal is original and it hasn't already been proposed, and B, that it's a good idea and that the community will support it when it goes up for voting, because it would be tragic for you to go through all this effort only to get rejected because the community's like, this has already been proposed, or this is a bad idea. So please go through GovTempCheck first. Once you've gone through GovTempCheck and generally got a good sentiment from the community that this is in fact a great idea and definitely something we should do, then you can post on the form as a draft. Do you see this beautiful formatting here? This is because we're following the template. Always follow the template. The templates will be updated probably every cycle or so. So please make sure you are looking at them regularly. So you post it, you see, gets engagement, fantastic. Please also specify which phase you want to go in through. So the phases, we're not going to get into them now, but just make sure that your proposal specifies what it's trying to go through. Then once you've, I skipped one. There we go. Okay. Once your proposal has gone through the draft phase, you've incorporated the feedback, the delegates have given you feedback and it's all Gucci, then you are ready to get voted on. So once you're ready to get voted on, you remove your draft tag. As you can see here, they don't have draft tags. And then once that's happened, what we'll do is we'll take all of the proposals and we'll round them up into a nice summary thread, which then gets posted onto Snapshot. So your proposal will get a thumbs up from a delegate because that's a requirement. I don't think we're doing that for this initial phase, but again, like we're still early days and still figuring everything out. So like this process may change. So please keep an eye on the docs for the most up-to-date version. So gets a thumbs up from a delegate, which is great. Lovely. You've got a delegate support and it will get added to the next voting cycle. There will be a nice little roundup thread of all of the proposals that are going into each thread in the governance form. So just keep an eye out for that as cycles go ahead. So once your proposal has been added to the next voting cycle, it will get added onto Snapshot, and a snapshot will get taken of all the delegates' voting power, and then voting starts. So on average, voting cycles are 2 weeks, but again, please check that governance form for, the docs, for the length of the specific posts, because different types of proposals have different voting lengths, because obviously some need to be deliberated a bit longer than others. During this time, all delegates who have more than 0.5 of delegated OP, as in not the total supply of OP, not the circulating supply of OP, but the supply of OP that has been delegated, they need to have at least 0.5% of that delegated supply, are then added to a channel in Discord where they can discuss proposals and coordinate their voting and generally just get sentiment between other delegates. This, again, may change. Please keep an eye on the docs for the most up-to-date version of this. But for this initial cycle, this is how we're going to do it. This channel that all the delegates will be added to will be public to read. So everyone will be able to read the delegates' conversations and see what they're talking about and see what they're saying and generally see their sentiment. But only the delegates who reach that 0.5% threshold will be able to talk. Right, so then we've gone through this voting cycle. All the delegates have discussed all the proposals and voted on everything. Fantastic. Now what? The cycle ends and we execute the results, right? So either your proposal passed, in which case you're going to get funded and the foundation will send you funds after doing a lovely test transaction, which you will have to send back. Or it doesn't pass, in which case nothing really happens, your proposal flops. You can, of course, submit your proposal again for the next cycle. Ideally, don't submit the same proposal again because obviously something was wrong with it, that it didn't pass. So maybe incorporate feedback, ask the delegates why it didn't pass, and go from there. So for more information about the specifics, for example, like what type of proposal takes how long, please check out this operating manual. Because again, all of the information will be up to date in the docs. So that is the source of truth for everything. Right. Before we jump into the Q&A, Bobby, you want to try again? RIP, damn. Okay. Discord is not happy with you. That's fine.
We'll have to man the Q&A. We got this.
We got this. I believe in us. So, Q&A questions. Please do not ask about airdrop 1 or 2. Don't ask about your specific project or your specific proposal. Don't ask about the token price. Let's stay focused here, people. This is about the governance proposal process. So the process itself. So if you want to understand decisions behind why we chose specific criteria, decisions behind why we chose this process as a whole, reasoning behind the decisions, anything like that is open and free game. Ask away. Please ask in this chat that we have here. Otherwise, we can just kind of start talking about the decisions we made. Anyway, all right. Give it a minute for some questions to filter in. Don't worry, Bobby. The audio gods will one day be on your side. And then you'll be too powerful to stop. So really, it's probably a good thing. All right, so the final voting will be on snapshot, as in a signature, or on chain. So yes, the voting will be on snapshot, so it will be a signature and not on chain. But again, this is just how we're doing it right now. So we may or may not change this in the future. But for now, yes, we are doing signature votes on snapshot and not on-chain voting. However, the delegation is pulled from on-chain. So it's not signature delegation, it is on-chain delegation. But that's a great question. Thank you, Ara. Can you link to the Google Docs slides? I will share the Google Docs slides in the governance channel so that you guys can all click through them at your leisure and click all the links and all that beautiful stuff. Okay, can there be a community council audit for failed proposals? So we don't have a process right now because obviously we haven't even gone through our first voting cycle yet. But if a proposal fails, we could definitely set up a channel or a thread or something to discuss the failed proposal so that more details can be given. But the idea is kind of that channel where all the delegates, recognized delegates can talk, will kind of contain the reasons for why the proposal failed, right? That's the whole idea of having this publicly readable channel where the delegates are discussing, is so that if they do fail a proposal, that there is clear public and live reasoning as to why they failed that proposal, and it's not just arbitrary, behind closed doors discussions. Because this is, community governance, so we want it to be open and visible for everyone to see what's going on. All right. So the snapshot is today. Yes, the snapshot is today. I'm not sure the time, but I'm sure Bobby will put it in the chat. The snapshot is today. Yes. There you go. 7 p.m. or 7 a.m. 7 p. GMT is the time of the snapshot. So it's a little bit later today. I think it's in like a few hours or something. So definitely make sure that you have delegated before then, because after the snapshot is taken, if you delegate, it will not count until the next voting cycle. Okay. Curious why the off-chain gov was chosen as opposed to having on-chain gov with execution via contract. Is there a timeline to move to on-chain gov? What a fantastic question.
Can I take this one?
Yeah, go for it.
Ooh, so there's so much to be said here. One of the most exciting things about L2, where you have really cheap, scalable transactions, is that it's actually much more reasonable to move lots of governance on-chain. So that is super exciting, and also incredibly complex logic in the smart contracts can exist, and it's actually a reasonable place to put those. With that being said, the philosophy of optimism is absolutely iteration. So we did a whole post on this actually. If you go to our mirror and look for "this governance will self-destruct," we had a whole post where we sort of talked about our game plan here. The reality is that it is going as early as crypto governance is even earlier. And so right now what we want to do is remain agile and figure out what the best thing to do is over the course of years. So we have a constitution which reflects this goals, if you haven't read the working constitution. And that document is basically going to be a working document for the next 4 years. So we are thinking very long-term sustainable about this stuff. And the way that we do voting at first reflects that. I am very, very, very excited because I think there's a lot of potential for L2 to actually allow this kind of on-chain governance to look a little bit more reasonable. But while we're figuring it out, it makes way more sense for it to stay on-chain. There's also security risks, if you change something, then you'd have to get an audit and so on and so forth. So for all those reasons, We started with off-chain voting, but it will surely evolve over time.
Yeah, exactly. And on top of that, governance minimization, like minimizing the overhead, is like a core principle of how we're trying to do this. And on-chain voting is a very difficult thing to do in a minimized way. So definitely still figuring it out.
Preach.
Preach, preach. Can LPs vote? So if you are LPing, the best thing you can do right now is un-LP, right? Take your money out of your liquidity position, put it back in your wallet, delegate or delegate to yourself or to your delegate of choice. Wait till the snapshot's taken, and then you can LP again. So if you are LPing, you don't own those tokens because they're not in your wallet. They're in the LP pool. So no, LPs cannot vote. If you are delegated to and you're LPing your tokens, then you can still vote because, of course, like it doesn't matter where your tokens are because that's not where your voting power is coming from. So if you're a delegate and you're LPing, it's different. If you are trying to delegate to someone else and you are LPing, then you need to un-LP, unstake, I guess, and delegate your vote and then re-LP after the snapshot. Right. Okay, so voting cycle isn't just for StimPack voting, it's for all other proposals too.
The answer is yes, but there are different lengths. So if you go to the operating manual, you can see the different lengths of those cycles. Currently, we don't have any proposals of that type, so like it's not a part of a cycle. I don't know how. Maybe we'll label it like maybe we'll have voting cycles per proposal type. I guess we haven't really like voiced that publicly yet, but that's what it will be. It is the case that the voting power and the delegation is for all those other proposals.
Exactly. Okay, here we have a good one. Can a delegate thumb up a proposal related to his or her own project? Ideally not. So no. I want to say no. I don't think this has happened yet or will happen. I think delegates know that that's not a good thing to do. But if that did happen, I think we would probably step in and be like, hey, this actually needs to get thumbs up by a different delegate because that's not great. Okay, the next question.
Yeah. Oh, can I add something to that, B?
Yeah, go for it.
The whole conflict of interest question is a really, really interesting one. In general, it is the case, like you've said, V, that generally delegates in crypto governance we've seen so far just abstain from votes that relate to them. And like I think that's a good cultural thing for us to foster. But it's also interesting that there is a balance because the people that are invested in the optimism ecosystem, who are the most likely to have run into these sorts of challenges, are also the ones that are most motivated to be active and do good things for the community. So it's an interesting balance. And one of the things that we've been worked very hard to make clear is that there will be a one person, one vote citizens house that will be an equal co-member of the optimism governance of the collective. And so I actually think that the solution to these sorts of problems is not always going to be limit the power of delegates and cause them to abstain within the token house, but it's actually keep those kinds of self-referential, self-interested, conflict of interest aspects in the long term checked by the citizens house, where it's one person, one vote, and you don't have the same kind of sway based on voting size. So yeah, I totally agree with you. I think we should foster that sort of cultural precedent. But it's also, I think, going to be really interesting that ultimately the point of having two houses is that you're not going to solve everything with token voting. And when these things get really hairy, the citizens house should be a way to step in and check those, put a balance or a check on those sorts of challenges.
Absolutely preach. This is the power of having a multiple house governance system, guys, is we have checks and balances. It's not just, what was that beautiful word? Plurocratic? Yo, I butchered that.
Plutocratic. It's
Thank you. I knew it was something.
It's not the moon, it's Pluto.
Okay, what about quorums? So the quorums are mostly 50% or higher for the more hardcore stuff, but you should check the operating manual for that, as Bobby said in chat. And I think, Bobby, correct me in chat, but it's 50% of the delegated supply. So how much has actually been allocated towards voting and not just 50% of all tokens, because obviously not everyone is participating in governance. I think that's right?
Yeah, I think you're right there.
Yeah.
Votable.
The votable supply.
Yeah.
Okay. What happens to delegated tokens when they get sold? I.e. the delegated transfers with them. No. So if I have delegated to Ben because I think he makes very informed and researched decisions, right? And then I sell my tokens, those tokens are no longer delegated to Ben, right? However, if I have delegated to Ben and then Bobby sends me all of his tokens, then all of his tokens get added to my delegation to Ben, right? So if I sell them, it resets my delegation, because obviously if I send all my tokens to Bobby, he might not want to delegate to Ben. So it would be really weird and unfair for me to like impose my delegation onto Bobby. So instead what happens is if I sell or send my tokens to Bobby, it will go to whoever he has delegated to, or if he hasn't delegated to anyone, then it won't go to anyone. And that's how delegation and transfer works. Yeah. Can we ask Q's about the Citizen House now or leave them for later? Yeah, so this is specifically focusing on the proposal process. We have that Governance General channel where you can go and pop all your questions about the Citizens House in, and we are very active there all the time. So we will definitely answer those questions there. I think there's also still a lot to be figured out, so we don't have necessarily all of the answers just yet. R.I.P.
R.I.P. I saw Poppy unmute.
I saw that as well. Shame. Oh,
I
God.
love that we just had a tandem R.I.P. moment. That was good.
Oh, it's beautiful. That's consensus right there. You know, we reached quorum on the R.I.P. All right, there's lots of people typing, but I think just got to give it a second.
Should I tell a pun?
I mean, if there's
No, we got a question.
Oh, there we go.
We got a question. You've been
Okay.
saved.
For voting, we need delegation power or to hold OP in wallet. Okay. Yeah, so delegation seems to have lots of issues. I might just like write an article about this or something just to like clear up a lot of these questions. So if you just have OP in your wallet, you do not have voting power. You need to either delegate to yourself or to a delegate in order to get that voting power. So if you just have OP sitting in your wallet, you do not have voting power. You do not have delegation, you haven't delegated to anyone. So you need to actively delegate either to yourself or to a delegate in order to have voting power. So holding OP is related to delegation power in the terms of like you need to hold OP to have voting power in order to delegate voting power, either to yourself or to someone else. So if you don't have OP, you can't delegate voting power, obviously. But just holding OP does not give you delegation power. You need to actually delegate that power in order to have voting power. If I delegate to myself for the first time and then sell the token, the power will be removed, right? Yes, as I was saying earlier, if you sell the token or give it to someone else, it removes your delegation from it. Like whoever you delegated to is no longer delegated to. It gets removed. Oh, we got a little shout out and I'm here for that. Just wanted to give you guys kudos for adding delegate interests - filters. Was much easier to see who's more aligned with your interests. Thank you so much. That was literally the whole point of us adding those filters, was because we were like, it's kind of silly to make you choose a delegate and give you absolutely no information about these delegates except their address and maybe their ENS handle. So we really tried quite hard to make it so that you could make an informed decision and it wasn't just like blindly delegating to whoever was at the top of the list. So really appreciate that kudos, because we put a lot of thought and effort into this system. And it's nice to be seen and appreciated. So thank you. I wanted to ask you, when is the next time you can submit a proposal for funding or grants? Because I have an idea, but I don't know how to go about the process. So you should definitely go watch this recording as soon as it comes out, because we go over the process very step by step. But you can submit a proposal at any time. It's just not going to go into a voting cycle until it has gone through the entire life cycle, as you can see on my screen here. So first, you have your great idea, you write it down, you get a temp check of it in Discord, which is just getting community feedback to make sure it's a good idea and that it hasn't already been proposed. You post it on the forum, it gets more feedback, you integrate that feedback, then it gets submitted to the next voting cycle. and then it gets voted on. So really, you can submit at any time. It's just no guarantee that it's going to go into the next voting cycle. It needs to go through all of these steps before it goes into the voting cycle. So yeah, definitely go check out this recording. What a meta commentary. All right. Okay, so if I put OP into an LP or even stake, I lose the voting power. Yes. So if the tokens are not in your wallet, you do not have the voting power. You cannot delegate the voting power. So it has to be in your wallet to delegate it. This seems to be quite a problem, quite a common problem. So maybe we do something about this in the future. But for now, if the tokens are not in your wallet, you cannot delegate their power. So again, we're going to be taking the snapshot a little bit later today. So if you want to make sure that your vote is being counted and that your power is being included, you should unstake or un-LP, put those tokens back in your wallet, delegate, wait till after the snapshot has been taken, and then you can go put your tokens wherever you want. You just need to have them in your wallet and delegate it to the right person during the snapshot. Right. If you delegate and then sell your tokens and then buy more tokens later, is the delegation still in place? If you sell all of your tokens, I think it is. I would need to check, but I'm pretty sure it would keep your delegation. So as soon as you put more tokens in your wallet, it would just go back to whoever you'd already delegated to. But I would need to double check that. I can post that in the Gov channel, but I'm pretty sure it would keep your delegation. All right, come on, y'all. I believe in you. There's still lots of questions.
Can I tell my joke now?
Yes. You have a moment. Go for it.
Okay, so it's in a fantasy world, and a dwarf walks into a butcher shop with really high ceilings, and he looks up at a big cut of beef on the top shelf, way up there, and he says, "Hey, I bet you that if I can reach that piece of beef, then you will give it to me for free." And the butcher says, "No way, the stakes are too high."
Oh my God. Oh, I'm here for it. I am here for it. Just a reminder to everyone asking questions, please keep it to the governance process itself. We don't want questions about the airdrop or token price or anything other, because that's not relevant right now. We're specifically focusing on the proposal process. There are lots of other places you can ask these other questions. So now is not the time. Keep them focused. Thank you. Yeah. If you want to ask questions, because I see lots of questions in the chat that are unrelated, please go to the OP token channel where you can ask these questions. Otherwise, I think there are some governance proposals already talking about some of this stuff, so you can go and add your thoughts and conversation to those proposals themselves. Okay, hey guys, any ETA on the UI updates for delegation page? Some people are losing visibility. So yes, the Dune Analytics has fallen behind a little bit because it just cannot handle how many transactions we've been having. So they're working tirelessly to get more resources provisioned so that Dune can pick back up and not fall behind. So yeah, definitely something we are keeping a close eye on. In terms of an actual UI, I'm not 100% sure, but definitely something we should do. All right. Is it possible to have mandatory opinions of the delegates before the vote? That would let token holders see whether their opinions are aligned with their delegate, also educate the community. So this is a great question. This is kind of what we're trying to do with getting the delegates to give their feedback in the governance form, is so that the voters can see what their delegate is saying before the vote. So if you've delegated to someone and you want to keep like close tabs on what they're voting on, you should definitely be following them in the governance form and making sure that their opinions and the posts that they're adding to various proposals do align with your like what you believe in and what you think should happen. Otherwise, if you're quite opinionated about the votes, the proposals, you should just delegate to yourself and self-represent. The more decentralized the governance is, the more resistant it is to takeovers. So definitely, if you have opinions and you're worried about your delegate not following through with your opinions, then you should self-delegate. And yeah, definitely look after yourself and your opinions. Are you aware that you cannot actually update your delegation on the delegation page? You have to go through the airdrop app, even for wallets that didn't have an airdrop. Interesting. We should definitely check that out and do something about that. Thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Yeah, we're working on it. And I also just posted in the chat, an amazing community member saw this and had the bandwidth to create delegation.tools. It is a third-party application, so be careful with what you're signing. Check your MetaMasks, but it will allow you to do that as well, which is pretty cool.
Fantastic. The power of having such like an amazing community of builders is they build things. Like, look at that. That's amazing. Love that.
Oh yeah. And also follow, okay, this is a perfect show moment to follow twitter.com/optimismgov because we also tweeted about it there. So that's a great place to follow updates.
What was it? Twitter.gov?
Twitter.com/optimismgov. I'll put it in the chat.
Amazing. Thank you. Definitely follow that for updates. Otherwise, generally keep an eye on the Twitters, the tweets, and the Discord channels, as well as the governance form, because governance is a very lively and opinionated process. So definitely keep an eye on everything. Oh, no. Love to hear what your questions are. Thank you for being such an active participant in both the governance form and the Discord. I really appreciate it. All right. On the delegation topic, can we have a page for delegates where I, as a delegate, can post my opinion on why I voted for against a proposal? I was planning to use Twitter for this, but having a section on the Gov portal would be better. So I do believe right now that the delegates are meant to post a monthly update on their opinions, why they voted certain ways, and that kind of stuff on the governance form. Fact check me, Ben, is that right?
Yeah, that's the current plan. We're in the process of building out like a more detailed like delegate playbook, which will probably include that. Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely in the pipeline. For now, if you want to like live tweet your opinions as a delegate, definitely go for it. But there will definitely, we are making a place and a process for you to do this in a more formal way, just so that all the delegates do it the same way, so that voters can make informed decisions and kind of see your reasoning behind things, right? Because that's super important for people who delegate to you to know that you're actually thinking through these decisions and not just randomly clicking yes or no. So definitely something we are thinking about and planning. Just a reminder, once again, to keep the questions on topic. Thank you. So, good questions about the process, why it was designed like that, how it works, delegating, the criteria, all of that beautiful stuff. Please don't ask about anything else. There's lots of other channels for you to ask these questions that are not this very specific walkthrough. Thank you.
Maybe I was walking on the beach the other day and I saw a giant clam. And so I started to drag it home. But then I had to stop because I pulled a muscle.
Oh my God. I love it. I'm here for it. That was pretty good. Where do you keep all of these? My word.
In the brain.
That's impressive. I would Google them. My brain, I always mess it up. If I'm going to do like a terrible dry joke, like I'll start laughing before I say the punchline and then mess it up. Yeah. Very impressed.
Luckily I'm not funny enough for that to be an issue.
I don't know if I'm funny enough for it to be an issue either. All right, come on, y'all. Any more questions? Otherwise, we got lots of stuff to do, so we will definitely wrap this up if the questions dry up. So if you have questions, now is the time. How to join us? Oh, you want to take it?
Yeah, I'll take it. So Akafish asked about the Citizen NFT house. This is a great question. So later in this year, we will go live with the first citizenship experiment. So there's a couple pieces of the background, right? We talked about this earlier, but if you're just joining or missed it, the Optimism governance, which is known as the Optimism Collective, will be a two-house system, which will have two co-equal houses. One is the token house. That's what we've been going over today. And the other is the Citizens House, which is like a one person, one vote part of the community. And it's very much responsible for retroactive public goods funding as well as one of its important focuses. So we will be very, very experimental with this. And I think basically what we're going to do is have like specific dedicated periods of time that run through a set of experiments. So like as iterative as we are on the token house, like at least there's been token voting before. This is like one of the first governance crypto projects, certainly with a big, sort of surface area of stuff being governed, that is going to run through a one person, one vote identity layer. So they will be like explicit experiments with like explicit start and end dates. And stay tuned for more details. I think what we'll see is over time, the set of citizens will grow. Like probably with each experiment, we'll see what we learned from the last one and add more and more citizens. And I think the other thing to say is that one of the realizations that we've had is that it's likely the case that citizenships should partially be determined by the projects on Optimism. So honestly, one of the best things I could tell you now is if you want to become a citizen in one of the early experiments, participating in the communities and discords of projects that are on Optimism is a really great way to do that, because we think for the first experiment that it's important that the projects on Optimism have a bit of a say over who the citizens are.
Preach. Okay. How much votes will a proposal need to be approved? So this will, as Bobby said in chat, 51% a majority with a 10% quorum. And Ben, do you want to just tell us what a quorum is?
Oh man, what is the formal definition of a quorum? I feel like there's like some very specific legalese word that I don't know. But a quorum is a big enough slice of the voting power to make it through that stage, right? So it's basically says like once the votes have met this threshold, then that is considered a quorum, and therefore the vote is official.
Nice. All right. Oh, another lovely shout out. Side note, this is so cool. Receiving OP from Airdrop 1 and voting on proposals with that OP is like getting retro PGF, but on a normal dude level. At the very least, we should all be glad to be alive to witness this. I love the constructive disruption. Thank you, Gracer Seats. Shout out to you for always being so active and an incredible community member. Love it. Here for it. All right. Wouldn't it be a problem if we chose another address as the representative with the address we got from airdrop and transferred the token to the delegated address? Okay, so I think what you're saying is, would it be a problem if you transferred your tokens to the delegated address instead of just delegating to them? I'm not really sure if that's your question. Please clarify in chat. But yeah, if you transferred your tokens to your delegate instead of just delegating your voting power to your delegate, then they would own your tokens. It wouldn't necessarily add to their voting power unless that delegate has delegated to themselves. Which I think most delegates who have chosen to be active delegates have delegated to themselves. So if you do send to them, it would just add to their voting power, as well as obviously give them your tokens. So let me know, Hassan, if that was not your question. Happy to clarify. But yeah, you can transfer your tokens between your addresses so long as you delegate before the snapshot. It doesn't matter where your tokens are sitting. All right, y'all. So it's starting to dry up. So maybe just like 2 or 3 more questions, whatever comes through first. And then we will wrap up because there is a lot to do today. Very exciting to start this first voting cycle. Super excited to see all the delegates get involved and really just kick off this governance process. Yeah, it's been a long journey, and it's super exciting to see it become real. Okay, I self-delegated. Where am I going to be able to vote? So the actual voting is going to happen on Snapshot. So as long as you have delegated before we take the snapshot a little bit later today, which, as you said, you already have, then you will be able to vote on Snapshot. So we will definitely post all of this information everywhere, but you can go check out our snapshot and delegate there. So fantastic. See you there. Very excited. Can we have another joke from Ben?
Oh boy, that's a lot of pressure. A final joke. Let me think. Okay. Hey V,
Yeah.
what do you get when you drop a piano down a mine shaft?
Oh, what?
A flat minor.
That was good. That was good. And under pressure. That was great. Top notch.
I feel. Oh man, actually, I only just realized that there's like a crypto version of that joke in there somewhere.
Oh, there definitely is. It needs a little fiddling, but there's
Yeah,
definitely a joke in there.
when you drop a piano on an ASIC or something, something like
Oh,
that.
all right, guys. It seems like everyone is just having a good time with Ben's jokes, but I don't think there's any more questions unless you get one in while I'm talking. In which case, nice, well done. So someone asked for the snapshot link. I cannot change my tab because I'm screen sharing, but the snapshot is, I think it's Optimism Governance, or yeah. If Bobby, maybe you could drop a link, that'd be fantastic. Otherwise, we will share it in the Gov General as well as on the governance forum. So keep an eye on there. We'll probably also tweet it. Yeah, so thanks everyone for coming today. It was so fantastic to go through this process with you. I hope this helped clear up some of your questions and that you feel informed. And yeah, super excited to kick off this governance process. Thanks everyone for coming. Yeah, Ben, any final notes?
I already gave my final joke. I don't want to curse things, so no.
Fair
Thank you
enough.
all for coming out and asking us good questions about the future of optimistic governance.
Exactly. All right, y'all. Catch you on chain. Stay optimistic as always. See you around the block. I don't know. I'm trying to squeeze one last pun in there. All
Pretty good.
right, y'all. Cheers.
Bye, guys.